Hi, I'm Ed Thomas. I am senior pastor, teaching pastor, lead pastor here at Spirit of Joy. And what I want to talk to you about just very quickly today in this video is joy itself. Now, I don't know if you can read this on video, but our altar says the fruit of the Spirit is ... joy. In Galatians chapter 5, it talks about all the fruits of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. But we at Spirit of Joy kind of like that word, joy. And so I want to give you two definitions of what joy is today. First of all, I want to give you a theological definition. I was preaching through the book of Acts one time, and I came upon this word joy. And I wanted a biblical definition of joy. We know that joy is bigger, so much bigger than happiness. I like to tell people that, that happiness is circumstantial. Circumstances come and go. We're happy, then we're not happy. Joy is something that should be able to transcend our entire lives. It's what God has to offer. And so I started thinking about, what is joy? And so I went and I began to get this theological definition of joy. So I started back. Luke wrote both the Gospel of Luke and the book of Acts. And I started looking for every time it said joy or joyful or rejoice in Luke. And I began to see a pattern very quickly. The first time that joy occurred, the very beginning of the Gospel of Luke, God has been silent historically in Israel for 400 years. And suddenly, the angel appears and announces to Zechariah that Zechariah is going to have a son. It's going to be John the Baptist. He is going to be the one that goes before the Lord to prepare the way. And because the prophet, the one who is bringing in the Messiah, is coming, there was joy. That was the first time. The second time that joy occurred in the Gospel of Luke occurred when the first human met Jesus. It's actually kind of a funny story, because Jesus was still in Mother Mary's womb, and John the Baptist was in his mother's womb. Mary and Elizabeth were cousins. And so when the two mothers met, John leaped for joy in his mother's womb. Okay, and so we're beginning to see a pattern. The pattern is beginning to be this: whenever the kingdom is breaking in, God's been silent for 400 years, now the kingdom is breaking in and there's joy. The first person meets the Messiah, even in utero, and there's joy. The next time joy occurs is when the angels come on Christmas and say, "Behold, we bring you good tidings of great joy." And there was joy. The kingdom was breaking through. The Messiah was born. I kept looking through the Gospel of Luke, and every time I saw it, one of my favorite examples was, remember the story of the shepherd has 100 sheep. He knows where 99 are, but he goes looking for the one that is lost. And then he finds the one that is lost. What does he do? He celebrates with joy. He throws a party, but that's not the best part. It says, because Jesus is telling a parable, it's not about the joy of finding a sheep. The parable is this: there will be joy in heaven when even one sinner converts, confesses, comes to God. That is what joy is. Joy breaks in when the kingdom breaks through. Now, that's one of two definitions that we use here at Spirit of Joy. I think theologically, that's the basis for our next definition. And so here is the next definition, and that is joy at Spirit of Joy. We spell joy, Jesus, others, you. J-O-Y, Jesus, others, you. I started doing this years ago, and one of the things I've done with the kids over the years is I give them a J, and I give them a Y, and then I give them a piece of bubble gum. And they blow as big of a bubble as they can, and we spell joy. Jesus, others, you. But I want you to think about what I just said a minute ago. Joy breaks in when the kingdom breaks through. In the midst of our secular world, when we turn to Jesus for hope, for light, for answers, for anything, when we focus on Jesus, the kingdom is breaking through in our lives. When we're focusing on Jesus, there's the kingdom. And joy breaks through. And the next one is others. I can't tell you how many people, when they go out the first time on a mission trip, or they go serve at the soup kitchen, or we do any of those kinds of things, they say, that was just incredible. I had such a good time. I heard someone call me the other day, they'd read something and they said, you know what? Serving others is selfish because we get more out of it. But the reason we get so much out of it is that's how God designed us. Joy breaks in when the kingdom breaks through. And when we're serving others, joy. You know the least joyful thing in the world? It's to focus on self. Selfish, self-centered, self-focused. We hate that when we look at others. Those people that focus on themselves all the time, it drives us nuts. And yet we do it ourselves to others. And so at Spirit of Joy, we want to transform lives by putting the order in the correct pattern. Jesus, others, and then you. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you join us at Spirit of Joy.